I'm dead ass being followed. You see that car right there? Yeah, that's my ex's car. Right there. And she's just following me and shit. Look at this. She's blocking my car. Look at this. Look at this. You're blocking my car. You're blocking my car. You are blocking my vehicle and stalking me. Leave me alone. You are stalking me. You just showed up at my job at 5 in the morning. I'm tired. Go away. Dude, you're insane. How did you find my job? Dude, get away from me. Get away from me. Dude, this is literally... Dude, I'm gonna die, bro. I'm dead ass gonna die one fucking day, bro. This is literally insane. Dude, I don't know what's wrong with her, bro.
He doesn't know what's wrong with her. I have some theories. You guys out there who have dated unhinged women, you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about. You see, these types of women are full of internal chaos. They are terrified of their own emotions. And they use their boyfriends to emotionally regulate by blaming everything that she's experiencing on him. Women like that cannot stomach the notion that they are the source of their own dysfunction, that they are flawed, that they are the problem. No, that's too scary. And so they project all of their issues onto the man in their life. If he did this, then I would be okay. If he was more like this, then everything would be fine. They take no accountability. Everything is the man's fault. And of course, nobody notices how crazy and ridiculous this is because for whatever reason we live in a society where it's okay for women to blame all of their problems on men. It's encouraged and it works until the man removes himself, just like this gentleman did when he broke up with his girlfriend. He isn't around anymore. He's no longer in her life. Should be liberation for her, right? Free from the terrible man. Instead, in situations like this, what happens is that without him to blame all of her issues on, she is now confronted with the fact that she herself is the problem. He's gone, but she's still filled with anger, despair, and chaos. And she starts to panic. A thought arises that she dare not acknowledge even to herself. Oh no, what if he wasn't the issue? What if it was me all along?
I don't want to brag, but I have so many problems. They're like problems in my head. They're not real problems yet. I'll probably make them into something though.
The idea that when a man meets a woman that she is flawless, that she has perfect self-esteem, she's completely at peace with the universe, like she has no issues, that notion is ridiculous. But based on the way that many women speak, you would think that this is how it is, that everything was completely fine with her, but suddenly she met you and you have robbed her of her equanimity. You are causing all of her emotional turmoil, all of her problems. No, zero chance. She had those issues to begin with. The only difference now is that she has you to blame. How convenient. It is exhausting to deal with. You guys out there in the audience who have dated women like this, you are nodding your heads right now. You know how tiring it is for a woman to hold you responsible for her pre-existing issues because you can't solve them. Many men have tried. They have wasted their lives feeding the bottomless pit that is female chaos. And you can do that if you want. You can voluntarily sacrifice yourself, consciously choose to take on the blame for all of her issues 1,000 times over, and it won't help in the slightest. Because the reality is that it's not your fault. It never was. She's the one who's dysfunctional. Whatever her issue is, you are not to blame. And you might know that, but what's frustrating is that she doesn't get it. She doesn't see it that way. Doesn't matter what you do, what you say, she won't wake up to the fact that she is the source of her own problems. But do you want to know the best way to get her to realize this is? It's to walk away, to give her space. When men do that, it devastates the female psyche. And I'm going to explain why. Imagine there's a woman who is trying to build a house, but the foundation is cracked and so it's unstable. She keeps banging nails into walls, trying to get them to stay in place. And you, as her boyfriend, keep bringing her new materials, new tools. And you accept the abuse that she's throwing at you. She keeps telling you that you're doing it wrong. You're not helping right. You're not bringing the right stuff. It can go on like this for years, and for many men, this does describe what their life is like, but it's never going to improve. The house is never going to be stable. It's never going to get built because it was flawed from the foundation. But so long as you're indulging all of this blaming nonsense, feeding her delusion, bringing her new tools and materials, and participating in this charade, she's never going to realize what the actual problem is. This is why you need to remove yourself. You need to give her space. By staying in her proximity and allowing her to heap fault onto you, you are codependently enabling her, and she's going to continue to misdiagnose the true problem. But if you walk away, then suddenly she can't blame you anymore, and that's going to give her the chance to realize what the actual problem is. The foundation is faulty. She is the issue. It's like in martial arts. You can block blow after blow after blow, but sometimes the most effective technique is simply to step aside and let your opponent fall based on their own momentum. Gentlemen, if you want women to learn that they are the problem, you need to give them space. Stop sacrificing yourself on the altar of her chaos, offering yourself up as tribute, absorbing all of the blame. So long as you are still within her proximity, she can continue to use you to work herself up, to re-stimulate herself and keep the anger and the blame flowing.
He's recording me now.
What are you doing?
Just stop recording me. He's trying to record me.
What are
now.
you doing? Stop hitting.
Stop not hitting you. Get the phone out of my face.
Hey, what are you
This
doing?
person is continuing to assault me. Help me. I don't know the address because he just brought me here on a date after he beat me.
You came over here on your own will.
I did not.
What are you doing?
Stop it.
Hey, stop.
This is what a narcissist does. Help me, please. I've only lived here for 2 weeks. I don't know this person.
What are you doing?
Stop it. Why are you recording me?
Because you're crazy.
I'm like naked in your apartment after I just woke up and I don't know what happened.
No, I asked you to leave politely and you didn't.
You can see when a woman is emotionally activated like this, her proximity to a man can give her momentum. It allows her to keep going and to work herself up into a state. And that's what she wants. She doesn't want to calm down. She doesn't want space. When this guy asked her to leave, she could have exited the apartment with no drama, but she would rather stay near him and continue to re-stimulate herself. At least then she can pretend to herself and to the police, I guess, that he is the source of her turmoil. She can avoid confronting the truth that all of this chaos stemmed from her, that she is the problem. If you've ever wondered why women stay with problematic men, the guys that she endlessly complains about, this is one of the reasons. As awful as she says that it is being with him, the alternative is being by herself and having nobody to blame. For a woman like that, accountability, personal responsibility, that's her biggest fear. She'd rather stay in the chaos relationship because she does not want to confront her own personal demons. She wants to shift responsibility for her internal state onto men. But there's good news because fewer and fewer men are willing to accept this state of affairs.
Good men, where are they? I keep seeing that video. They're hiding. All of your videos of, screaming and saying how much you hate men and your icks because I don't know they breathe. They just decided they're going to be hiding for a while. They're done. They're taking a vacation from women. They're probably at home. If they're not at work, they're at home. And they're just watching TikToks of women horrified, being very, very happy that they made their choice to just be single and choose peace over crazy toxicity.
So this is my reminder to all of the men watching that relationships are a voluntary contract. Nobody is forcing you to date a toxic woman. If you meet a good woman who is kind and feminine and she takes personal responsibility for herself, then congratulations, enjoy it, date her, celebrate, you found one of the good ones. That's awesome, I'm happy for you. But if the woman that you're dating does not improve your life, if dating her means that you need to codependently sign up to take responsibility for all of her issues and problems, then don't do it. Men, you need to be suspicious of your own masculine rescuer instinct. I know that it feels macho to ride in and save the day, but there is a much greater moral sophistication in letting people sort their own issues out. This culture of women just endlessly heaping fault onto men has got to stop. And perhaps the best way to achieve change is for men to just remove themselves, to give women space. That way they can see what's actually going on.
So there's this clip going viral online of a dozen women being asked the following question: do we need men? Most answered very quickly, no. And only one said she thought women needed a man in their lives, only one. But when men were asked a similar question, do we need women, most of them said yes. So why do you think that is?
Because men are useless.
Men are useless. Are we? Maybe we should find out. I don't know, maybe we should see what happens if men remove themselves. Give women space. Wouldn't it be interesting to see what impact that would have on society? But bringing this back to the personal level, this concept of giving women space is vital for maintaining a healthy relationship with a girlfriend or in a marriage. Even if she never blames you or arguments where she assigns fault to you are rare, it is still an essential practical skill to learn when to walk away, when to give a woman space. For his relationships to function, every man needs to know this. So if you're in a relationship and you want to know how to utilize this knowledge in a practical way to benefit your relationships, you're going to want to keep watching this video. First off, let's talk about conflict resolution, because I say this with absolute certainty that one of the most important things that you can do if you want to argue less with your significant other is to just take space. People have this idea that when things are really tense and the two of you are not seeing eye to eye and you're maybe like being mean to each other, that it's really, really important in that moment to keep talking, to make sure the dialogue keeps going. But they're wrong. It's actually not very productive, because when people are emotionally activated, they're not really looking to resolve the issue. They're looking to justify their own pain. They're often looking to hurt the other person. And so the more you talk, the more you actually just sink deeper into the tar. Like, yes, some dialogue and discussion when there's a disagreement is important, but you need to be in an emotionally calm and stable place for that to be effective. If you're both really triggered, then you're just going to be insulting and criticizing each other. So if you notice that you're getting to that stage where the argument seems like it's not going anywhere because you're just really, really angry at each other, take space, go for a walk, go to a separate room for 5 minutes, 30 minutes, 10 hours, just whatever works for you guys, but just give yourself a chance to calm down. And that's really, really important, because while the other person is in front of you, it's very easy for you to assign blame for how you're feeling on what they're doing. And it's going to feel like everything that they're doing is a personal attack. You're going to take everything personally. By removing yourself from that situation, giving yourself space, it's going to be very, very clarifying as to what actually is going on internally. Was that person really being as terrible as it seemed that they were? Or have you got your own insecurities that are activated? Now, if you're dating a really low quality woman, that space is not likely to be very effective, because she doesn't use that time by herself to self-reflect. She just ruminates and thinks of like 10 different lines of attack, to get you with. So you come back into the room, she's like, right, I've been thinking about this, and you're also terrible because of this. Oh, women like that are exhausting. I really don't think you want to date one of those girls. But if she's generally a quality woman and she just temporarily lost control of herself, she got activated, by giving her that space, she's likely to reflect like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? Why was I saying any of that stuff? I don't want to fight with him. And when you come back into the room, she's like, hey, I am sorry that things got so out of hand. Here's what I've realized. By implementing this technique, you can actually ensure that you have far fewer fights, because what tends to happen is that not all fights start at like level 10, right? They start at level 1 or 2, just like a bit of tension, like, oh, it's a bit frustrating or whatever. But then as they go back and forth, you bounce off each other and it becomes like this whole big deal. But if you can learn at like level 2 or 3, like, hey, seems to be escalating, to take space right then and there, then you can prevent those really awful emotions from coming out into your relationship and both of you saying a bunch of stuff that you don't actually mean. You take some space, you calm yourself down, you get some bigger perspective, and then when the two of you come back together, you're in a much healthier place to discuss this in a way that leads to a sincere and genuine resolution. But that's just a technique for almost like damage control. Like if a fight's already begun, there's an even more preventative skill that you can do, which is simply to take space from her on the regular before any fights have gotten up. And this generally looks like just having your own separate life. I know that it's sort of been romanticized, the codependent ideal of like, we do everything together. And it's like, oh, I can't stand to not be by this person's side, as though that's a positive thing. Look, and I love love, I love romance. not some Grinch when it comes to that stuff. I think that it can be sweet to spend time with your partner, but it's fundamentally very, very healthy for you to always be reminding yourself that you are your own separate person. You have an identity outside of that relationship. And so whether it's having your own work, whether it's taking separate holidays, simply having days apart from each other, spending time with your friends, she's spending time with her friends, you have an alone day where you go hiking, fishing by yourself, and she does her own thing, that's really, really healthy. And it's likely to stimulate the love alive because you remind yourself of all the positive things about that person that you enjoy being in their company. But it's also important from preventing the negative stuff, right? Like if there are tensions that are boiling over in that person's internal psyche, by always being around your partner, it's very easy to misdiagnose the source of that tension as coming from your partner. But if you go away on a camping trip, like for 3 days with your buddies, and before that, things were really tense between the two of you, while you're away and you're not there for her to blame all of her issues on, she has to actually confront what's really going on for her. You get back and she runs outside, she hugs you. I missed you so much. I've been doing so much thinking. I realized I've actually been going through this and this and this. Wonderful. And all you had to do was go fishing with your friends. This is like the easiest, it's the best technique ever. It's a pretty basic psychological principle, and it probably applies in a number of different areas. But I just want you guys to always keep this in mind, that when you're looking for the source of a problem, you're going to look to your immediate environment. And that's generally a preferable thing to do rather than looking within, because it can be scary to confront your own issues. It's easier to blame somebody else because often that feels like it's more inside your control and you don't have to do any of the hard work. They just need to be different, or this just needs to be fixed. If you notice that you're absorbing a lot of blame from the women in your lives or even from other men, this is probably not necessarily gendered in all instances, but just generally speaking, you are told that you are the problem, like maybe in your workplace, like all the issues are always getting blamed on you, ask to be moved to a different project and then see if that actually was you as the problem. Or if it's your girlfriend, just remove yourself for a period of time and see what impact that has on her. By being in close proximity, you are muddying the waters. By removing yourself, the waters become still, clean, and calm, and then she can see to the bottom. She can see what the actual issue is.